All right, so I finally did it. I finally pulled the trigger. I pulled the trigger. Mallory secretly set up an appointment for me to go because I have a huge anxiety about going to the dentist and fixing my fucking teeth.
Not fun.
Because
She was like, I'm tired of smelling that shit coming out of your
it's
mouth.
it's not even that I have bad breath. I just need to get my fucking tooth replaced. It's a smiler. It's not a back one. I can't hide it. It's right in the middle of my fucking head. And I hate it. I hate that it's gone.
Oh, you want to get the missing digit up front replaced?
Yeah.
One. Jesus.
How did you lose that?
It's a long story, but so it all started way back when I was merely an old fifth grader going into the first day of middle school. It was the day before middle school started, and I fucking
the day before picture day.
The day before picture day,
No.
and we were riding bikes at our apartments, and I ducked my head under a branch, and my front bike tire hit a rock, and it shot the handlebars, and I chipped the tooth. I didn't even know. I was with Tyler and this other chick that grew up in the same apartment complex was riding bikes with us. And I was like, hey, and then they both look at me like, you know, and I was like, what? I'm like, it's half gone. And so they put a cap on it. I ignored it for years because the cap was working. Cap fell off, got infected, root canal, boom, tooth removed. We're going to start this process, bone graft done. And then the dude's like, oh yeah, we're going to put in the screwy bit and we're going to have to cut you open and fillet out to make sure it worked. And I was like, okay. And then like 6 months later, I moved to Missouri and I forgot about it. And I had the flapper in forever. I was so good at hiding it.
Starting to get dental.
I
didn't know you had a fake one until
very recently.
Yeah.
Because I kept going over to Dave's house and like we'd be drinking beers and I'd have food so I wasn't drunk driving home. And I'd take my flapper out and just like sneakily ninja eat food in front of Dave, and he'd be like, "Oh, this is good sandwiches." I'm like, "Yeah, they're great," you know. And I was doing really good about it. But now I don't want to look like a fucking meth head, so I wear a mask everywhere. And everyone's like, "What are you wearing a mask for?" And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." So finally, Mallory sneakily got me a dentist appointment, which I needed. I have anxiety about going to the dentist because when you go to the dentist, they're just going to tell you all of your teeth are going to fall out. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it.
Been to the dentist and like
I brush, years. I don't floss because no one's got time for that. And I always forget about it, but I brush.
Floss? Well, no wonder your shit's about to fall out of your fucking
Shut
face.
the fuck up. I floss.
I don't floss very regularly. I'm not good at it. I'm very lazy about it.
Well, thank you, Dave. But I also mouthwash very heavily. And so, yeah, we go to the dentist. So we scheduled for my day off. And I found, so a while ago on the podcast, I was drinking a Narwhal stout. It's like one of my top 3 favorite stouts, which is a coveted position because I am a stout person. Narwhal stout's up there in the top 3. And I found the last 2 cans at the only liquor store on my side of town that has it. So I had these 2 cans and I had one on the podcast and I was saving one for this dentist appointment. Yes. My congratulations to going to the dentist. Yes. It was my little reward to myself. Hey, some people do it with cookies, cake. Some people do it with tattoos, whatever. I have special beers that I reward myself
we do with beef jerky up here.
Beef jerky, yeah. Anyway, so we go to the dentist, and the whole time Mallory's like, okay, it's not going to be that bad. It's okay. And I'm like, ha 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 ha. Yeah, it's gonna be totally fine. I'm like, they're gonna tell me I gotta take my fucking teeth out. I'm a toothless freak. I'm gonna be having my dentures in. They're gonna fall out in my drink, and I'm gonna lose them. And I'm gonna be like gummy. I'm gonna have like one of those jaws that goes up to your nose, where like my beard. I don't have a mustache anymore because my fucking beard is up here on my fucking nose, and because I don't have a top teeth.
Podcast without teeth.
That's yeah, the one card so good. And this just like so fucking canon from Missouri. So I was like really like stressed out about it. And we go to the dentist's office and they're like, oh, so what's your name? I'm like, oh, it's Jake Kennedy. And they're like, we don't have you on the books. And I'm like,
oh, good start.
Right. So turns out we didn't confirm the thing. And Mallory's like, oh, that's not too bad. At least you don't have to do it. I'm like, you don't understand. It is worse now because I have to wait another week. And so anyway, we get there and I'm filling out the thing and it's stupid. I don't want to do this. I just want good teeth. Why can't I just have good teeth? Like And then
Because you went for an unfortunate bike ride. Right
I have yeah,
because you've
that
lived
one-
life.
that one fucking bike ride. If there was ever an endorsement for staying inside and playing video games all day, it's me. Don't do anything physical because you're gonna get fucked. So
Yeah, they make a product, Jake, that could have prevented that.
yeah, getting hit in the chin, full face. Did we have the money for a full face back then?
Did they even make
No.
full face back then?
They did.
Oh, wait, you guys aren't
I
as old
think
as
you
me.
did have a full
Yeah,
face
we're
back
not
then.
that fucking old.
Yeah, you did have a full face back then. Anyway, so we get there and they're like, okay, well, it's your first time, so we got to take like 10,000 x-rays. And they did. They took like, I don't know, 16 or 17 different x-rays.
Oh yeah, and you got to bite down on that like fucking.
You got to bite down and like the edges aren't soft. So it's like stabbing my
yeah.
gums. And I'm like, I'm going to be bleeding
yeah.
later. And they're going to be
That's the
talking to me
worst.
about this. And the x-ray tech was like, I don't know, about 7 or 8 inches shorter than I was. So she was like, okay, I'm going to put this vest on. And I'm like, okay, can you put the vest on now? And I, like squat down to get the fucking vest on. And they did like this whole 360 thing. And they took me to the other room and they took me back to the 360. It was stupid. So they're like, they get me into the room and they got me on the chair. And I am white knuckling this thing. So Mallory's like, you're gonna be okay. It's fine. I'm like, no, again, you don't fucking
Do you wanna
understand.
play with this balloon or this?
They're
toy
going
while
to
you're
tell
doing
me that I'm going to lose all of my teeth. I will be a toothless fuck. And I will be an embarrassment upon my family name. It's gonna be awful. I'll be, is it Jake? Is it the toothless bastard of the Kennedys? I'm like, yes, that's exactly
it? Yeah, we're gonna start calling you Toothless Jake.
right. So the hygienist comes in and she gets me all, fucking back in the thing. And I'm sitting there with like my mouth agape and she's got this gap thing. And she's like, hey, well, I got to take the measurements like in the gap of your gums and your teeth. And I've done this before. It's not going to be good. And I'm just hoping for low prime numbers. I don't want odds or even prime numbers because they're less often, like 3s, 1s,
Very
maybe
strange way of
you don't want a 5.
justifying
Yeah.
this.
Just,
That one's a prime number too.
yeah, so it's 5, and those are numbers you don't want to. So I'm getting a lot of 4s. I'm getting a 2, and every time she's not saying 5, I'm having a little celebration in my head, and she gets done and she's like, yeah, okay, so not good. And she like gets this screen, like you see those screens that like the Formula 1 guys get when they're in their cars. One of those gets pushed up to me. They're showing me my fucking x-rays. And they're like, so you see your tooth here, the bone's supposed to be right here, it's right here, so we're not out of the woods yet. But and this is like where I really started to get pissed off, because this is when they tuned it down from adult to child, and I got really like upset about it, because they're like, the lady's like, okay, so your tooth is your house and your bone is your foundation. Your foundation is crumbling. And I'm like, are you, is it now? And she's like, yeah, it's crumbling. And your gums are your siding and it's on fire. And so I went from pissed off to just completely sarcastic, like, well, we got to get the fire department here. And she's like, I am the fire marshal, and we're going to put the fire out. We're going to tighten your gums up. And I'm like, siding doesn't do that on the side of the house. And she goes, we're going to tighten those up and we're going to shore that thing up. And I'm thinking to myself, the siding is not, it's not on the foundation. The earth is. And she's like, it's going to set that foundation in, and you're not going to lose any of your teeth. But if you don't do this, you're going to lose all your teeth. And at that point, I give Mallory one of these, because I fucking told her that they were going to tell me I was going to lose all my goddamn teeth. So yeah, I have 2-hour-long sessions for deep in the gum line cleaning. And I can't wait for that.
I can't wait till I talk to you like you're a child again.
Yeah.
I
want an update afterwards.
It's fucking stupid. Yeah, I'll be giving an update. I feel like if I put it out here, I'll be more open to continuing this, because a lot of people just wants to say,
yeah,
I was a lot better off not knowing this information.
Not to
So you
downplay.
woke up one day and your fucking teeth fell out of your face.
Not to downplay your situation, but that anxiety you felt about going to the dentist.
Yeah.
Imagine feeling that about everything. It's
You gotta do that 2 more times.
Dave, we've talked about this. I live as like a 90% of my time is low level anxiety. I look at my watch
Yeah.
and my resting heart rate's like 120. It's not because I'm not healthy. It's because I'm stressed out about everything all the time.
You
It'll
guys
get
want
ya.
to play the resting heart rate game? Mine's at 76.
Right now, mine's at 99 because I've been talking about the dentist.
I took my watch off. I have no idea.
Oh, Dave is completely unplugged now. He's 100% unplugged.
Oh, good. Yeah, Dave. I live in a trailer at a campground in Colorado, and I
Well, I
don't wear
took
my
it off
because I
watch,
had it
and
on
do
all day.
Yoga
Semi-retired.
outside.
Yeah, I'm semi-retired. On call.
The only stress in my day I feel is when I'm watching racing, baseball, or hockey, and my team's not doing well.
Two things I don't wear while podcasting: my watch and pants. So
Well, thank God you don't stand up on our podcast. This is the Tire Preference Podcast, by the way. For those of you that are still listening after Jake's dental anecdote,
Dude, it was so fucking dumb.
I
feel you.
hate
I
the
went-
dentist too. It's not fun. It's never fun. Cleanings are the worst too.
I
rather
didn't
have
even get a
cavities.
cleaning.
I know.
was
I'd
just a
rather have
consultation.
cavities filled.
And then the dude is so like then the prosthetic guy came in to do like oh, I want to get this done. And they're showing me the X-ray of the bow graft, and they put the bow. They did the so I got to the point where they're doing the bow graft, and it's not adhered to the surface. So like my tooth kind of looks like this, and the bone graft is like this, and there's an obvious like it's not meshing. And
Yeah.
he's like, so it might not be a secure hold. And I'm looking at this like I'm not a fucking X-ray tech, but I can see a gap between bones. Don't sugarcoat this. And
Yeah.
he's like, well,
Give it to me
it's
straight
one-
out.
and then we went to the conversation where it's just one tooth who might not be worth it. So like, why did I even go in the first place?
Just let them rot
Oh,
out, man.
goodness.
But I'm gonna get those Inviso things to straighten my fucking horizontal teeth up.
Ooh, Invisalign, I had that.
It's not Invisalign. They call it a different thing, but it's cheaper than Invisalign.
I got
And
lucky.
they can
Never
black
needed
out.
braces or anything.
Shut the fuck.
Nice.
They can black out one of the tooth in front of my thing, so it looks like I got a chomper up there.
Boom shakalaka. Problem
But yeah,
solved.
as Tyler said, this is the Tire Preference Podcast.
Really stupid.
Yeah, you sound a lot better right now.
But I'm trying to get this set up.
Ooh,
just
even
right,
better
so
right
it's-
there.
All right, how's that? So yes, we're adjusting microphones on the fly here.
Yeah. Well, this is we are professional podcasters at this point. We
Yeah.
we're doing it.
Got 9 episodes under our belt.
9 episodes. Dude, we got to do something fun for the 10th. I mean, the 10th episode that's coming up.
And
It's this one.
For those of you out in the world that listen to this and know me, know that I
Yeah.
like gesticulate and move around when I talk. So if I get away from the microphone, I apologize now.
This is the 10th episode.
Yay, 10th episode.
Yay.
Let's start it off by giving a good cheers to our friends. Thanks for listening.
Cheers.
Let's do a
Clink,
slunche.
clink.
Clink.
All right. Well, 2 out of the 3 of us are drinking whiskey. We're drinking Jameson Caskmates, as Tyler and I, as you can just see. And Dave, you got Razor number 5, a West Coast beer. Though I
Nice,
cannot.
from Bear Republic.
Bear Republic. I can't get
It's a
that out
decent
here.
brew.
It's like for a while, Bear Republic was only a California release. So when I had that beer, it was at Disneyland, and you could not get it outside of California.
Really?
So, yeah.
Let's
Um,
talk some
celebrate-
Formula One.
I
Our
would
10th
say,
podcast.
this is our 10th podcast. So thank you for
Yeah.
listening for 10 episodes.
To celebrate our 10th podcast, you guys want to talk about Miami?
Yeah, let's talk about Miami. Do we want to dip into the news? There's not much news to talk about. It's mostly
Yeah,
just your regular gobbledygook post race stuff.
yeah.
Oh, this team sucked. Oh, this team did well. Blah 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 blah. Power
Valtteri-
rankings are out.
Valtteri Bottas was naked in a river less than 30
Dude,
minutes for me, and
he
I
had
didn't even
them-
know about it.
He had them peaches out. You didn't go check those streams. You didn't go exploring. You could have saw naked Finnish man in Finland. Yeah, it's a Finnish. He's Finnish.
Yeah.
Let's
I
finish the
started my-
finish.
I started my news research maybe 2 hours before we started the podcast, and I read a story about Mario Andretti walking around the pits and was trying to get signatures from team principals to allow a Mario Andretti entrance.
Oh, that's
more
really
like a team
interesting.
entrance.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many signatures did he get?
did he get all of them?
He got two that I know of.
Okay,
And there
from
was two people that did not want to sign off.
oh,
on it.
who could those be, Tyler? Who could be the two people that would not like to see another team in there?
Mercedes and Red Bull. Toto Wolff and Christian Horner did not sign it.
They don't want
But
more
then-
friends.
So I guess like the news said that he had like walked out and he looked kind of dejected after that. But then he talked to the current CEO of F1 who whispered a bunch of stuff into his ear, and it was described as like a fairly one-sided conversation, and that he
Right.
walked away feeling very hopeful. So I don't think all hope is lost.
Right. Do you remember?
I mean, it'd be nice to see a second U.S. team, especially because they're gonna have 3 fucking races here next year.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
it might be nice to see a U.S. team that actually is based in the U.S. and not Italy. But
And they want to have a U.S. driver. If Mario
remember-
Andretti gets a team in, he has a U.S. driver set up to be an F1 driver.
well, there you go. So this is a bit of a deep cut. I don't know if Dave, you probably watched this show, but I know Tyler did. Metalocalypse.
Yeah.
And there's
yeah,
an
I caught
episode.
that.
There's an episode where Pickles' brother, like, shows up and he's trying to be Pickles' manager, and he's like,
Yeah, it was-
"Okay, look, we could do this, right? You just need to give me give me your debit card, give me your PIN number, and all this stuff, right? We can make a lot of money. We can make a lot of money doing this and all that." I feel like that's like Mario Andretti's Pickles and the FIA director is Pickles' brother. He's just like,
Yeah.
she's like, "Look, we can make a lot of money. This is so fucking."
That could. There's a lot of money to be had in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There was a family
Because the
episode
other
of there.
U.S. team that we had, which was Haas, their main
Have,
sponsor last
not
season had
have
their
not
main-
had.
Sorry. Okay. The current U.S. team that we fucking have. Are you fucking happy now that I said it that way? Jesus fucking Christ.
Yes.
Their main sponsor last year was a Russian company,
Yeah.
a U.S. team. So they don't think they have any major U.S. sponsors at all.
It was a
No.
Russian fertilizer company, which is
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
problematic. You know,
Yeah.
it could be problematic.
I see with the here we go talking about Drive to Survive again, but I see that just I mean that has to bring in a buttload of sponsors.
Oh yeah, Mario Andretti signs up. You got people like drooling at the door, like let us in. Put our
Especially with
sticker on your car.
it was
And it
the
helps
most
them.
viewed F1 race in US history.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, saw in the news story too about how like obviously like the popularity of Formula One has hit because we've had a USGP since at least regularly on the calendar for a long time, at least as far back as 2008, I think.
Yeah, I was
Even-
gonna say 08, something like that.
Is that
Maybe
when Coda,
maybe
was-
2010.
is that when Coda first on
I
the
don't
calendar?
remember when Coda first popped
I
up,
think
but
CODA started in
what was before that?
2012 or
This-
2013.
What was before that
But-
besides the Vegas?
well,
old
so
Vegas?
they used to race at Watkins Glen a lot, and then in '59
in F1?
Yeah, mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they
I know
did,
you said you
um,
wanted to see that, but I didn't know they
That's
already
sweet.
did that.
Well, so when I said it, I didn't know they had already been there either because I wasn't brushed up on my F1 history. I just love that racetrack, and I think it'd be a dope racetrack. Turns out they already raced there. So
Yeah, they raced in Indianapolis, or where they do the Indy 500. That was
Yeah.
like the F1 track. They would do like a, not just a square.
Yeah, they had the whole infield like cut
the
out
infield
for-
track, yeah.
Yeah.
And they did. I don't know if they've had an official F1 race there, but I do know that a lot of the F1 drivers go there with current cars and past cars, and they race on Laguna Seca, the Mazda Raceway in Southern California. That's got the corkscrew turn.
Oh
That's
yeah,
not
that,
the
that is
original
so
one.
much fun to do when I'm playing Forza.
Oh yeah,
that would
I love
be
that track.
such a fucking mess on the first lap, just seeing all the
Mhm.
cars like trying to run through there.
And so Laguna Seca has got a legendary corner, which is that corkscrew. And I'm thinking that not a rival to, but in the same caliber. Well, we'll get to it more when we talk about it, but turns 14 and 15 at Miami. That is the really, that's it's
going up
it's
underneath that
under-
overpass,
underneath the
Yeah.
overpass. It's
Yeah,
not a
that-
corkscrew turn.
that wicked chicane.
it's in that same league of difficult turn
Well, yeah,
to master and easy to fuck up.
it's like coming up, like you're coming in off of one turn, coming in pretty good speed.
Yeah,
And you
13,
gotta,
14, and 15.
yeah, you
No,
gotta,
no, 15, 14, 15, and 16.
yeah, that's where both Ocon, and Signs hit the wall there.
Yes,
And they
yeah.
said that those impacts, even though they didn't look that bad, they were pretty high G. I think
Yeah, like 50
Ocon's was
G or
like
something.
50 something G. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And we'll
Yeah.
okay,
we'll get to that more.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that more. But yeah, no. But more to your point, Dave. Yeah, I think that since Miami is on the calendar for the next 10 years, I
They'll
think
fix
that.
that.
Well, I hope they don't because I like that crazy turn in there.
No, I mean they'll put in that a better barrier instead of just like that concrete wall kind of thing.
Yeah, they might. They might.
I think they should. I mean, safety reasons. We've already had 2 people say they've hit it at fairly low speeds, and it was pretty ruthless.
But they both walked away with no injuries. I mean, they were a little tight the next day, and the cars are.
I mean, if that happens on Saturday, you're fucking not feeling good for Sunday. So yeah, that just makes sense to put in just something there. Whatever that kind of wall is. I'm sure it's not too hard to do.
Right.
I'm sure they'll do all kinds
they could
of
keep it at the
changes,
original
especially with
depth.
having 10 years on the contract. Like what was the wall that I don't know? It might have been the wall that you guys were talking about.
It was turn 16 where they kept brushing against it.
Coming out onto that long
coming
straight.
Out.
Yeah, they would all just kiss
that
the
was
wall.
That was turn 16.
At least like widen that a little bit if they can or something. But I'm sure that we'll see changes along the way.
Well, I mean, it's like a street course. I mean, it's got to be contained a little, right?
We saw changes during the weekend.
So, yeah, they were trying to do shit on the fly,
which we'll talk about when we get to it. But yeah, so just to say, yeah, I think that if they keep this track like on the go, because I don't think they can change that turn. I think that turn is going to turn into one of those legendary, hyper difficult race deciding turns.
I liked it because it adds a little bit of tension when you're like,
it really does,
coming down to the last laps. Or like, are they going to get the nerves and like try to or like try to cut it a little too close and hit that bump and boom, rise you up. Next thing you know, you're in a spin.
100%. Yeah, because a lot of those
fast, it adds a little. It scared the shit out of me being Ferrari fan. I'm waiting on Leclerc to hit, just like after Aqua Minerale. I'm waiting on him to hit that and spin, but turns out it didn't matter. But anyway, we'll get to that too.
I thought it was just going to be a clusterfuck on that first lap going through that section of corners, like with all the cars and stuff.
Yeah, I'm surprised 100%. we didn't see more contact on that first lap.
Yeah, so I didn't take many notes during the race. As far as like incidents happening, because there really wasn't a lot.
There really wasn't a whole lot.
There's one real good one.
Yeah.
And the things that makes it really happy is some fans of the podcast are some friends of mine, and Cody is a Pierre Gasly fan, and Em really likes Lando Norris. She was saying she had the race on in the background, and she's like, "Oh, I thought like." She's like, "Yeah, I saw that Lando Norris got crashed out, but I thought he got wrecked into by Hamilton." I was like, "No, it was Gasly." And she goes, "No."
So let's get to the race. Let's start with practice one, pre-practice one. So if you remember from the last podcast, we told you guys this is like one of the times you really want to pay attention to practice because it's a brand new track. No one's got any data on it. No one's ever been there. It's not like Zavendort last year where like 1 or 2 guys on the grid had seen it. Absolutely no one has seen this track. No one's been on this track. The closest we had to it was Perez doing a dusty trial in like the V8 car.
Yeah. Well,
when it was coned out.
So I know they had simulator time on this track. How do they get that simulate? Like, do they just have a virtual makeup of the track and just no data to go off of? And they just kind of go off of what, data they have on their cars at that time. And
pretty much
the track.
So you can rough in a good virtual simulator thing by just using real world data from other racetracks. So if you have like, because I mean it's basic, it's like geometry math, right? Each turn is a degree, right? From 90 to whatever to 10, whatever the fuck. I don't know. So you can go I have this data from this one turn and this one track and fucking wherever the fuck. It is this. We know this car does this on that turn. Let's piece it in there. And then they piece it all together like a big random fucking puzzle. And then they go through it. They have the drivers do it. They're like, okay, well, I remember taking this turn. When I took the turn, it's different. So then you get it back, and you end up smoothly. It's just like making a video game. And then you have something that feels right for both parties, and then you go for it, and it gives you some data.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. With this track, they didn't have any of that data. All they had was the track layout, and then the data they already had from their own cars on other tracks. So the simulator would have been just pretty raw, right? I mean, just basic track layout with physics.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said. So they would take other turns from other tracks that were similar to the Miami one, and they would make a virtual track.
All right,
that was new.
I thought you were talking about like. Anyway,
that's okay.
I got you now. I pieced it all together. It was just a little too late.
It's okay. It's all good. So, free practice 1 starts, and I'm reading my own handwriting again. So this track is counterclockwise. It's pretty run of the mill for America. A lot of the tracks are counterclockwise.
I want to start using some of the Brit terms for a lot of things.
Anti-clockwise.
When they say anti-clockwise, so much cooler sounding.
It's pretty cool sounding. It's like fuck the clock. Anti-clockwise.
Yeah.
It had 12 to the left and 9 to the right as far as the turns go. And the first thing that really happened on that was it wasn't even on track really, but Ocon had an unsafe release.
Oh yeah.
And then immediately after that, Zhao Guanzhou just tanked turn 1. I mean, he full locked up, but he's on cold tires. It's a new course, all that stuff. There was a lot of spin outs happening in the free practice.
I told you so.
Yeah, we knew it was going to happen. We're talking like even just the first half, because it was a new track. People don't know a lot. You can do many hours in the simulator, but the simulator ain't real life.
It's still very experimental out there.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out your lines and
the simulator doesn't pick up on the fact that like as the day goes on and there's more rubber being put down on the track,
Yeah.
it just sort of changes like the characteristics of it. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wasn't surprised at seeing like people progressing their lap times and stuff as shit.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, and even like early on, like the first 15 minutes of pre-practice 1, I even had in my notes turns 14 and 15, because this was like the first time I actually got to see them with cars on. I even wrote down here in like underline 3 times, turns 14 and 15 are going to be an issue. And
because I hadn't seen 14 and 15. Like all I saw was a chicane, top view only, no topographical, no nothing. And then up and weird, and this is going to be a tricky one.
Right. Yeah. So even because if you're watching Formula 1 on the TV, they'll do like the top view of the track, and then they'll flip it sideways so you can see the elevation changes. Even though this was in a parking lot of the stadium, there were still slight elevation changes. I think like 1.5 meters, so like 5 feet was the maximum difference, which really isn't anything.
But it's also Florida, so it's also pretty flat anyway.
It's pretty flat, but if that elevation changes on a straight, you won't even notice it. If that elevation changes on an extremely low speed chicane, you're going to notice it every time. And that's what we found, because that bitch was uphill and then downhill and then around the corner they kept rubbing, and then they went back uphill down the back straight to turn 17. So one other thing that I noticed in free practice 1 was the Ferraris. They were super quick on the mediums. I mean, they were doing faster lap times than even the Red Bull, and they were on softs at the time.
Yeah,
and
they were looking pretty quick in FP2.
Super quick.
And
FP1. This is still FP1.
Almost feels like a track built for Red Bull too.
Yeah, it does. Well, the other thing I noticed about Ferraris, and we can take a break and talk about everything I brought up now, is there was almost no porpoising.
Yeah, I noticed that there wasn't as much with Ferrari. I don't know what they did, but I did not see the porpoising in Ferrari like I did in like Mercedes, even though Mercedes seemed like they cut theirs down a little bit too. I didn't see the violent head shaking in Russell or Hamilton like I did in the previous races.
Well, when they did the race and they started getting lighter on fuel, and I know I'm jumping way ahead, the porpoising started happening because they were a little heavier or a little lighter.
And it was
but
the car's able to
right stable itself with the weight. But Ferrari had a new wing assemblies. A lot of the cars did, and I think that really helped with their porpoising.
front wing assembly. Like, can they fuck with their rear wing?
Yeah, you can do it the
yeah.
front. Yeah. Mhm.
Adjustments and stuff, but I mean within parameters. I'm
I
sure.
think you could do it to a whole new design if you wanted to.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It just depends on how much money and time you want to put into it.
Oh yeah.
And what
Especially
makes
with the
more
cost
sense.
cap, too. Like that makes it a gamble. If it's worth doing that or not, if you think it's going to solve your problem.
Yeah. Or is the time and money better spent in a different area?
And
so moving on to free practice one, these are going to be thick because the practices were far more exciting than the race. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Bottas had a wee bit of an off, and he had massive damage.
Oh yeah, it kicked him out of free practice 1, or was that 2?
It was 1, and so he was the first major accident. They red flagged it, and so some of you might have been noticing. So during a race, when you have a red flag, the time stops. During free practice, it does not.
It does not stop. No,
it doesn't. It doesn't stop. So he did with 24 minutes left, massive rear wing damage. After they got started again, a couple laps happened. Carlos Sainz had a major puncture on the front right. Had to come in. That was a bit shitty. Turn 7 was super slippy for everyone. Slippy because we're doing British stuff.
Fucking Sainz got that puncture just by locking up or sliding on that red tarmac.
Mm-hmm. Because it
rubbed a hole right through it.
It did. So we talked about it last time. Miami has no gravel pits, and the gravel pits aren't just for decoration. They're to stop cars from hitting the wall. So when you have a course that's a street course or the French racing track, because for whatever reason they don't like gravel pits either, so they just painted everything. That paint is not like house paint or rattle can paint. It's got a grit to it, and the color differentiates the grit. And so that blue paint's like close to 30, 40, or 40 grit sandpaper, maybe even 10 grit sandpaper, just chunks of rock. So
designed to slow them down a little bit on a slide.
It's just rocks. Just glued rocks to it. So that's why Carlos Sainz locked up, or when he spun out and was holding the brakes the whole time, he burned a fucking huge hole in his tire.
Yeah.
And you can even see it watching the footage they had. They showed it.
Yeah, you can see
that. Well, you can see that, but when they took it off the
car,
you can see this huge fucking hole.
Yeah.
Like the size of an orange. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. And then he got new tires and put the car on the wall.
Dude, when that happened, I was just like, what? Is he cursed this season?
I even wrote it down. Carlos has the yips.
The
13,
yips.
14, and 15. He's got the yips.
It's just like he went into the wall, and it was like, here we go again.
Here we go again.
We Annie and I were both watching it, and we both at the same time were just like, yeah. And it's like, what the fuck, man? What does he got to do to finish a fucking race or a practice?
Right.
But
whatever he did Saturday night, apparently.
Well, yeah, I did. I just wait till Sunday.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fridays are not. I just felt so bad because it is. It's like every weekend he just something fucks up for that kid, and he feels so bad.
Got the worst luck in the world.
And
and it sucks when his teammates doing so well. It's like he's a great driver. He's got to get into that groove. But
I would have loved to have seen him on the podium the weekend that he had that big contract extension in Imola, and that would have been.
Oh, that would have been a morale booster.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah,
you gotta feel bad for the guy. I mean, as much as happy as I were with the results, with Red Bull doing well, they're still
Well-
That's got to be such a kick in the gut.
Especially when you're like watching your teammate finish the
Yeah.
race, who is Ferrari's #1 driver. He's a fucking supermodel. He's got
Yeah.
a cute girlfriend. He's got his own apartment in Monaco. He has not crashed his Ferrari on or off the track. And but
this
Carlos
season?
has. Well, it was more of a stab to Carlos for crashing his personal Ferrari off the track.
What? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he like, so they made this video because Carlos forever was really humble and driving a Volkswagen Golf. Yes, Queen. And he finally was just like, fuck it, I'll get a custom Ferrari. So he went to the Ferrari like plant and he customized one and he backed into something with the car before the Imola Grand Prix. So it was
my
in Italy
God.
that he fucking backed
I
into
thought
it.
I saw something about that, but I didn't
Yeah.
really dig into
I'm
it.
not an expert on bodywork or anything like that, but I have to imagine getting
Oh,
a Ferrari.
that's not
repainted
cheap.
is a lot
Oh, you
more
gotta-
expensive than
You got a guy
Yeah,
with a thick
getting
mustache that
golf
is
again.
cheek to cheek wide that has to repair that by hand. He's got really hairy forearms.
Well,
on his side.
also, I mean, he's sponsored by Ferrari, so I'm sure they took care of it, no problem.
right.
Hey,
then,
it's just like being on the racetrack, huh?
Did you guys happen to see what they used to transport him back to the paddock?
Yeah, it was like a fucking motorcycle.
It was
wasn't
a motorcycle. So
I was like, I even mentioned that to Annie. I was like, every other one was like
scooters. We've seen scooters
Yeah,
and tow
and-
trucks transport people. You even said other Formula One cars transport people. But because it's America, we have Harley Davidsons
No, I
transporting
did
them.
not see
They
that.
were
That's
Harleys?
awesome.
Yeah, they were
I
like,
thought it was like a dirt bike or something.
no, it was
I couldn't
Harley
really tell.
Softails. They were cruiser bikes. That like the guy's hands are like out here like
I
this.
couldn't really tell. I was
That's
just bummed.
amazing.
It was so good. And that was just like a small treat. All the cliche little chanchi or tchotchke things that they did for the American thing, I thought were so fucking good. I loved every second of it.
the,
Oh, I
the
thought it was great.
no, the fucking police escort. We'll get to it, but that
We'll get to it.
to me was, I was like, come on.
I loved it.
Oh,
I
they
thought
had to
hated
get
it.
people
I
to
loved
fuck
it.
I
off and
fucking
get out of the
hated it.
way.
Nah, I hated it. I know the podium was like far away from the finish line and all that, but
Yeah,
it
wasn't like
police escort, come on, that's cheesy. And I had to turn my TV down because the sirens were so fucking loud.
You do sound like an old man. Turn your music down.
Well, dude, I'm like,
Turn your goddamn sirens down.
I didn't even pay attention. Annie's like, I think people are gonna think the cops are here.
I bet it was really fucking loud in that tunnel too. Like, if you
Oh,
were walking
dude.
through there on the
Well,
way
they
to the
almost ran.
podium.
We'll
It was-
talk
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
talk about
we'll
it.
get there. I was gonna say there's some funny moments on that too.
Just to quickly wrap up P1 because we spent a lot of time on it. Verstappen caught on fire. We thought that Red Bull was going to have a bit of a reliability issue again.
Oh, I was praying for it.
It looked like
I
it.
know. Turn
I was
16,
nervous.
the exit. That's where they kept rubbing against the wall. That looked really interesting.
A couple drivers
And
kissed it good
you know
enough
what
they
the-
had to hit the pits afterwards.
Mhm. And the end of free practice one, Hamilton was looking pretty good.
Yeah,
But-
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
We're gonna talk more about that when we go to P2.
Which is
um,
now.
Oh, fuck! I fucked up and I bled into P2. Yeah, we've already been talking about P2.
Oh,
Sorry.
we'll go
Carlos
to P3.
Yeah. Carlos hitting P2. So
That's
we're gonna.
I told you.
I know, Dave. I got P2 written real small in my fucking notes. Verstappen caught on fire in P2. So we'll talk about P3.
Was his like it was his
Is
rear
that- is
brakes
that
or
our
something
P2
were on.
roundup right there.
Yeah, that was
Shit
like
happened.
half the P2 roundup.
What was it Verstappen's brakes that were on fire, or was it his
Looked
and,
like, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was
so-
just his brakes. That's why it wasn't such a huge
We'll see.
thing to
Remember
fix.
in Imola, I don't remember what it was, Albon or it was one of the McLarens maybe. Their tire was on a little too tight and they caused that fire and that explosion.
I think
Remember-
that was the Williams.
Oh, that was
Was it Williams? Like a Albon maybe?
Oh no, that was not. That was who was that? Blew up his tire, just exploded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was Albon.
I'll have to go back and look.
We'll
But
have to go back
anyway,
and watch it. But at any rate, I think that's like one of the issues. But they tore out all the hydraulic lines and they redid them up. So who knows what it was? Well, and so after Carlos Sainz hit, so we're in free practice 2. We talked about it in the last one. I kind of jumped ahead. I was talking about something that happened in practice too. So if you're confused, just whatever, fuck off. So coming out of turn 17, Max Verstappen in free practice 2 hits that wall that we were talking about. Like he's coming on the back straight.
Yeah.
And he hit it a little hard.
A little
and
bit.
He comes into the pit.
He got both wheels on it.
He did. More load on the front. And he comes into the pit. Yeah, Verstappen. And so I was watching the Formula One F1 TV feed because I don't know about you guys, but the F1 International that I usually watch with Crofty and Brundle was the audio kept dropping all the free practices, and I was watching it on recorded, so I just said, "Fuck it, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'll just watch the other one."
Yeah, that's what happened to me too.
So I was watching it, and one thing I've noticed is that they have Will Buxton down there, and he's able to like zoom in on a lot of. He's always yelling this camera, like,
get in there, zoom in down there,
zoom in on that. It's just the camera's just like this dopey bastard, just fucking too fat to carry. Anyway, they're like, oh. So the order of events that this was spoken about was what is funny about the situation. They said Max Verstappen is in the pits with a suspension issue. And then you see them with a hot glue gun and tape.
Oh yeah,
they are repairing the suspension.
Yeah,
and you're like, this is
it was like a big caulk gun. It was like an epoxy gun.
This is a multi-billion-dollar company building one of the most sophisticated race cars ever. They spend over $1 million on the steering wheel alone, and they are using caulk and duct tape to finish a suspension thing. But
it wasn't structural.
It wasn't structural. It was a shroud.
Yeah, it was just a shroud.
It did give me an laugh out loud moment where they were like, this is a suspension issue. You immediately go to structural, and they were fixing it with tape and glue. You're like, what are they spending their money on?
It's a really, really good glue.
Yeah, right.
I'm just waiting for like that scene in Drive to Survive, because they'll have Will Buxton like narrating. It's just like, Red Bull, to pull this off, needs to pull all the stops out, and then they'll cut to them with like the caulking gun.
It's got that meme song of the guy playing the F1 thing on the recorder.
Yeah.
Just cocking this. And so you might be asking yourself, how well did this suit the I almost said Mercedes, the Red Bull cars? Well, we didn't figure it out because Latifi put it into the wall shortly after this.
Yeah, of course
he has had more red flags than checkered flags this season.
I almost feel bad for the guys. Like, just resign and give somebody else a chance.
I mean, I love Latifi. I love all of the fucking Formula One drivers, but man, this is the sign from whatever God you believe in. Probably find something else to do.
I mean, he finds the wall on nearly every track. Regardless, like practice, qualifying, or race, he's gonna find the wall.
Right.
Yeah. What sucks for me personally with this situation is if we get into like our little F1 fantasy league, I have Charles Leclerc and I have fucking Nicholas Latifi. So if Charles Leclerc wins and Nicholas Latifi goes off like he always fucking does and wrecks, then I'm like net 50, like half the points that I fucking would have.
No, because you only take off of your number one driver.
Oh, all right. Well, that's right.
No.
Okay,
no.
Well,
you get points for your number one and your number two driver.
I thought we only got points for the number one driver.
No, we got points for. We're 10
We
episodes
still
in.
don't know
We
how
have
to
done
do
9.
the scoring
We're about to
system
do 9
for
rounds.
our fantasy league.
No.
That is so basic.
It's so basic. So we had a discussion last time about dropping certain point aspects, and that was for pit times. You might have a bank of pit times, but you choose one pit time out of the whole race to be your representative pit time. As far as your drivers go, there is a bracket for your number one driver that gives you a point value and a bracket for your number two driver that gives you a point value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're
mine
keeping
was
track,
pretty
man, as long as you're being honest about it.
0.
I am. I will send you the data. So I even took a picture.
Oh
of it
yeah.
because-
By the way, I have notes on all the pit times.
Good.
I don't know where they went, but they're around.
We'll do it eventually. So eventually,
next episode.
so organized for episode 10. So organized.
We're running into it off the
We
rails.
are. This is the pinnacle of the podcast.
People do not listen to us for organization.
They don't listen to
skills.
us. Yeah, right.
Right.
Right. We haven't even got to the fucking race yet.
We haven't got to
Jesus,
qualifying yet.
Dave.
This is going to be a long
Yeah.
fucking podcast.
It-
We need
it is- well, I told you
Can
there's
we
lots to
just
talk
call
about the
title of the
practices.
podcast FP1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, this is FP1, 2, and 3 part 1. Yeah, so we had a red flag.
Tune in next week for qualifying.
We don't have Barcelona for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, fuck it. Might as well. Let's make our 10th episode a 2-part.
Yeah.
But so a lot of cars were going off on turn 7, and I started like really watching how they were going off. Mostly
Turn 7.
because
Which one was turn 7?
turn 7 was like a big sweeping turn.
Was that around
Kind of
that marina thing?
I don't remember.
I remember that.
I don't
causing
know.
some
It wasn't.
issues
It
with
wasn't.
drivers.
It just turn 7 was the turn that Science went off and burned the hole in his fucking tire. It wasn't around the marina.
Trying to think. Oh, that's right before. No, that was 14, 13, or 15.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
So turn 7, I noticed that every time they went off, they were hitting this thing that looks like one of those long drains you see in a pool. Like when you're getting out of the pool. This is, at any rate, it looked like it was made out of a different material, and that's what everyone was fucking slipping on.
This is
It was
gonna be an
slippy.
8-hour-long podcast.
So it's an
It'll be
8-hour long
fine.
podcast because we can't.
Hey,
talk
I can
about
go to the library.
the
They
drain.
get good strong Wi-Fi.
This is our first telethon podcast.
So goddamn stupid. Anyway, so that's pretty much P2. Nothing else happened. P3 happened. Nothing happened. No, that's not true.
P3 was sort of eventful. There was a couple
P-
things.
Yeah. So first off, P3. So if you didn't know, hopefully you do by now, because hopefully you've been watching at least a couple races by the time you're listening to this podcast. Friday has P1, P2. Saturday has P3 qualifying, and Sunday is the Grand Prix.
Unless it's a sprint weekend.
Unless it's a sprint weekend or unless it's in Vegas and they're having the race on Saturday. But that's an entirely different podcast. So
Fucking
Let's cross that bridge
America.
when we get to it.
between Friday night when they stopped doing practice and Saturday morning when they started their free practice 3 and then they're qualifying, they had crews out there that were resurfacing turn 7 where they kept spinning off, and they replaced chunks of asphalt in turn 17. So when you're watching the race,
Was it because it was so hot the tires were just ripping off fucking chunks of asphalt?
no, I think they were too slippy. To say it the British way, they're too slippery.
So they're
They
like
weren't-
sliding out and like
Yeah,
carving
they
out
just-
chunks.
They thought it better to replace them. And when I say replace, they replaced them. If anyone's lived, I mean, you people live in this world. You know how long it takes for them to do anything street construction related,
Yeah.
and they fucking did it in less than 12 hours. Science seal delivered.
So they
ready
just
for racing.
chunked out part of the racetrack and then just redid the whole thing.
Yeah, when you watch the race and there's the 2 big black rectangles out of the turn 17, those are chunks
Oh.
they tore out to dirt and then resurfaced or put gravel in there, repaved, and then said it's good for racing.
When I saw that, I just thought that was just like what they did to make that the racetrack.
No, those were replayed. That's why they look different. They were new asphalt.
I didn't pay attention
many-
to those sections in practice or qualifying to notice a difference. So
How many phone calls do you think they had to make on a Friday night to like different like paving companies and construction companies and like whatever, like the Florida Department of Transportation, just be like, I don't fucking care how you do it, but I need you to replace 2 pieces of asphalt in 12 hours.
Right. Call everybody.
Well, they're probably
Blank
like,
check. Don't
it's,
care.
Yeah, it's F1. It's a blank check. You can
Right.
Yeah.
money is of no what we spared no expense.
I'm at to charge you $2,200 an hour to come replace that. Okay, that's it.
Getting on
That's it.
overtime, and it's a Friday night. I gotta find my crew. Like,
Oh, I got
it's gonna be
hazard pay because it's pretty humid out. I don't know.
It's humid out,
my
I
skin.
like how it's like in Miami.
And we're
anyone
talking
that
in a
runs
New
paving
York
company is
accent.
Italian.
It's still Northeast sanitation worker. Joe, we can get that road done for you. No problem.
No,
Gonna
I'm
need,
gonna have to
uh,
Get it
call
done
Union
wicked
Rails
quick.
and see if they can bring some people down for us.
My cousin Gino's gonna come down with a crew. Gonna rip that stuff up. We're gonna
these
put
guys are
stuff
fucking
down.
Good. He's getting the
You
cream of
won't
the-
even
the cream
notice.
of the
You won't
crops
even
coming down.
notice.
All right,
Mhm.
guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put us on track here. We gotta hit qualifying in the race.
All right, let's get you qualifying. The only thing we really need to
But
talk
can we
about
talk
is
the real miracle here was getting the concrete and the asphalt done in time.
yeah, and you got the gravel down. They hand stamped the gravel. They didn't use a
You gotta
stamp.
find a asphalt producer
And
that can
asshole
do that in the middle of the
producer.
night on a Friday night in Florida when the weather's nice. Forget
They
about
had
it.
it trucked in. No, sorry, bolted in. They bolted it in, craned it
Yeah.
over, dropped it, flattened it out. Go to snow.
Yeah, just
Go to snow.
beautiful.
So
work I ever
qualifying. Q3, Ferrari had a 1-2. That's all you really need to know.
You
Nothing-
fucking asshole.
Nothing else.
You want to talk about qualifying? You don't qualify the crew to get there. You want to talk
Yeah.
about that?
There would have been no qualifying, no GP if it weren't for us putting that fault down.
Yeah, for local 578, the asphalters.
We put the black steam down. They asphalt us.
Oh shit.
I can't even button up my safety vest. I gotta let it hang. It don't fit around. It don't fit
It
around.
was Friday night. Had a couple drinks, and hey, and we're there.
We had for lunch 12-inch pierogi sandwich. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it sounds right.
Oh, the race.
They're like Russian dumplings. How many carbs are you eating if you're having a fucking pierogi sandwich?
If you're the crew leader of a street crew, you don't care about carbs.
That's true. Yeah, you're just eating your pierogi sandwich
Just
and
eating
sucking
your
on cigarettes like there isn't a tomorrow.
As you're
Carbs
eating,
and cigarettes save your
you
life.
somehow seal your cigarette in your lip on this side and eat with the other side of your mouth. You could
It's
do
like
both.
there's empty Red Bull cans all over your truck. Like,
All right,
I ain't
so
saying I'm going for Red Bull this weekend, but they got a good product.
but I drink it. It's just sugar-free stuff,
What
for
do
my
you
hot.
want from me? What do you want
It's
from
a sugar-free.
Hate you too. Ah.
Yeah,
we-
doctor says
Dave,
I can't have
Dave.
sugar ones.
Let me break it down for you real quick. Tyler and I could do this for another hour,
I know.
maybe even 2. We could just keep going.
4 hours if we really
4
had
hours
to.
minimum, potentially 8.
Minimum 4 hours.
A week
All right?
later, we're still talking like this.
A week later, I've called up my mom's. I've been on the phone with my pa. My
Mhm.
mom's like, "Why are you talking like that? That's the way it is."
You
All of
keep
a
bringing
sudden,
up
we Italian
pierogies, I'm
family.
gonna keep going like this.
Yeah, you make the raviolis, we make it happen.
Get a little gnocchi, the potatoes.
Mm. Forget
So
about
good.
it.
The butter
Forget
sauce,
about
forget about it. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
What we're not going to forget about is the race.
No, we got a race to cover, Dave.
We
So
got a
get
race
your
to
shit
cover.
together.
We need to be professional, gentlemen. Jesus fucking Christ. What are you, a bunch of savages? Fucking
Yeah,
animals?
Jesus Christ. Fucking trying to keep
Get
on
it
track.
together. Get it together.
Oh, you made me mess up a contact. All right. All right. We'll figure it out.
I
Let's
have
go.
made people laugh to tears, but I've never heard
Yeah.
anyone say I've been so funny they fucked up a
But I
contact.
understand messing up a contact. You don't want to do that. Contacts in the world important.
Yeah, you better take a
You
break.
got no depth perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The union says you can go to the emergency room. Just go to there. Have them figure it
Yeah,
out.
that's okay.
Don't-
put
You
it on
don't
the
want to
health insurance,
scratch a
you're good.
retina.
Forget
It'll
about it.
fuck with your depth perception for the rest of your life.
You want me to drive you there? What do you want from me?
Well, I'll take you to a
I
hobby.
want you to talk about F1 now.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah,
That was
come
fucking
on.
awful. I'm cutting that out.
Dave's one and done.
You should.
All right.
Impressions.
Anyway, I tried.
That's
They
okay.
were doing Italian accents the whole time, and I tried to chime in, and I just fucked it. I totally just fucking shanked it.
I
Anywho.
wouldn't say they were Italian accents. They were Long Island sanitation.
It was
Long
workers.
Island.
Yeah, Long Island.
Yeah, Long Island.
Long Island. Manok. Maron.
All right,
So,
shut
the
up.
race-
F1.
The race
Oh, I don't
happened,
know.
and then it was done. You know, the race is over.
So you know what are you gonna do?
See you next week.
Yeah. All right, so lights out and away we go. They were so one thing I always look for now, based on our little tester race review that we never released, was
yeah.
the guy made it across the track before the lights were out, which I think is important. You have one fucking job, and that's to pay to wave the green flag. Get across the track. What's the track like? I don't know, 10, 15 yards.
Well, he waved him and ran across, right?
Well,
yeah,
he's
but
got to have like. Sorry, go on.
he doesn't
say, like,
officially.
that's-
I
have
mean,
to
they
get
they all
across.
go, and then he runs off. I mean,
He's
it's not
got
like he's
90
in the way.
seconds to make that run.
Sure. He does have that time. You're right. But I feel like if you are the man that they have entrusted, or woman, to hoist the flag across the track, have the heart to make it across the track before the lights go down.
I didn't even
You know-
pay attention.
If it's me,
Yeah,
and
I think-
I'm not skipping across the track, waving the flag, getting my
Is
TV
this-
time. I am
Is
dead
this the hill
sprints
you're gonna
with.
die on?
I am knife handing sprinting across the track with the flag. I am like 3 to 4 steps max on tarmac before I hit the
I
next
got
side
a
of the
beer
track.
with a. I got a seat with a beer in it. I gotta go.
Yeah, I have opened a beer and left it on that side of the track, and I've gone to the other side, and I'm thinking that beer's sweating. I need to take it out of its misery. I'm hot. I want a refreshment. I'm gonna get over there.
And if you don't do it before the lights shut off, then the cage closes and you're stuck on the track for.
You stuck on the
2
track,
hours
yeah.
and
You
50
get,
Then
you,
you're
get-
just red mist.
Yeah.
you have a chain
You run
attached.
around. The marshals are shoving you back out like any area you're trying to run through.
There's a chain attached to your ankle. It's also on the bumper of the safety car, which is
What-
following the cars around the first lap.
What is
So-
actually what is actually more interesting to me is how that bothered you so much.
Yeah.
I don't know why it does. I just feel like
Well,
I would love to have that
that's
job.
like
and
so
I'm-
inconsequential.
Yeah, like you have to get. It's like
Unless
you have to get
he
across
like
the track
fell
before the
down
lights
and
go
then
out, or
got
you're
ran
gonna
over
die.
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, what
mean-
kind of person are you that first off gets a job at doing an F1 race? Because you don't get that just by being forced. You have to volunteer or apply for it. They're not going, oh, you random bread maker, you're going to be the flag man, and you're like, well, I don't want to do that, and they make
There's
you do it
a
anyway.
lot of
probably a
times
set
on
of
that-
red
Where
flag
where is your life
polka.
at where you are walking across the track with the flag like?
Maybe he had a bad day, man. He was constipated. His mom
Put it
died.
behind you.
His-
Put it behind you.
His dog shit
Bury
on his
it.
pillow. I don't.
Bury it down.
Maybe he had a bad day.
Yeah,
Then-
what if he was just he was?
It was the
registered
guy
with
that
local
waved
flag?
the green flag behind
Yeah, he's in the
all
local
the cars.
He's in the traffic controllers union, and like he was number 1 on the list. They called him into work that day. And was
Give
like,
the
"You gotta
job to me. I will do it better than he does.
Jake, we all want to see your flag
No,
routine.
you fucking
behind-
trip across the
an
track,
F1
and then
car.
we watch you roll across the track.
And I would
hope
still
before
get
the
back
lights-
across the track faster than he lackadaisically did it. Well, no, I was about to
Anywho,
say,
Lap
anywho.
one.
Yeah, lap one, turn one.
You can tell again how exciting the race was. That this is the shit that
This is what we're
dictated-
having.
Well, yeah, that's
We
the
are-
thing.
This is the filler we have because the race was not that exciting.
Yeah. Well, lap one, I was waiting for so many collisions.
Oh
Nothing.
god,
There was.
yeah, me too.
What do we have? Zhou Guan Yu went out on a technical issue with his car. He had to pit on the first lap, right?
Yeah.
Or second, third lap, something like within the first 5, I think.
Voted him driver of the day.
I did.
Yeah, me too.
Tradition on this podcast to
Yep.
vote in driver of the day, the first person to DNF.
Yes, please do it every time.
First person out of the race gets driver of the day.
Mhm,
driver.
mhm, mhm.
When we have that huge, massive following we're looking for, we can
when
put a
there's more
dent
than
in that
16 of us,
voting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
16 people that follow the podcast, and we can
I think
actually
there's
get a
17 now.
percentage.
There might
Oh,
be
thank
17.
God.
I don't know. I
It
haven't
might be
checked in a few
16 after
days.
this one.
Moving on up.
Well, we did go up like 3 subscribers in like 2 weeks. So
Love
Hell,
that.
Yeah.
moving
Let's
on
keep-
up, fellas.
Keep the charm up. So in my notes, the first thing I have for the race is when Perez was bitching about his power loss, and his team was like, "There's no power loss.
There's
He's
no
like,
power
I'm
loss.
fucking slowing." And you look at the second time, you're like, "No, he's slowing down." And his
Oh,
team's
yeah,
like,
he
"You're
slowed down a
totally fine."
lot.
No, what they say,
Yeah.
you're out of Sainz toe now. So
Yeah, you're at a
Yeah.
side still.
that's
I'm instantly
doesn't
dropped
lose you
4
that many
yeah,
seconds.
4
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah, that was
Ridiculous. He
crazy.
was fucking closing in.
Well,
Mhm.
whatever it was, they figured it out within a few laps. So
Yeah, you can tell when over the radio they say go to failsafe 9 that they have no idea what the fuck's the problem.
what is
They're just
failsafe
going-
9?
It's more than 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So
Yeah.
they
so it
went through a
was-
lot of
it was
failsafes before they
one.
got to 9.
Oh, so no, okay. I don't know if that each team had their own kind of code kind of configuration on that shit.
I mean,
so
like, I
nobody
guess
can
the-
really because isn't team radio like everyone can hear it?
yeah, but I mean, if you were telling someone to go to failsafe 4, that doesn't give anyone any information. It just says that you're having
Yeah,
a
that
problem.
doesn't mean that like that's not your tire strategy. They're
Yeah, or
broadcasting
how
out
much
to the
fuel
world.
you
you
got,
know,
or
I mean, if I was like Christian Horner or even like Benito or whatever his name is, what is his name? Anyway,
Matteo Benito.
yeah, that's it. I'd be like,
Matteo.
code word. Oh fuck! What a great lap!
Right.
Which means,
Yeah.
oh man, you've got a serious problem with your hydraulics. We need to check this out.
Right.
I want to see them like hold the placards, like they hold like those things on
Yeah.
the sides, which seem like kind of like not relevant because they could just radio in and say what the lap times are all the
Right.
time and shit. What leather. But if you had someone that was like what the Ducks used to do, where they would have like a card and for the play it had 4 images on it.
That's
so it was,
the
like, a random
Oregon
menu.
college team, the Ducks.
Yes, that would be the
Oh,
Oregon Ducks.
I was
and so it's
I was actually
that.
Football
thinking
team?
of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks.
Well, yep. Nope.
No, we're talking
the-
about collegiate football.
The collegiate football. Oregon.
hockey
There
on
were
the
a
mind.
couple of times that would have like 4 random images on it
Yeah.
that would correspond to like a play or something. So like they could do that. Like their fail-safe 9 is a picture of like a duck and an alligator and like like I don't know, a crushed up beer can
And a
something else that
4-sided
represents
dildo.
Florida. And they go like, oh shit, all right, yeah, that's fail-safe.
I know
9.
exactly what
Okay,
they're
go
talking
back
about.
for-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the split second you'll see it going 200 miles an hour down the straightaway.
The fucked up thing is those guys will see it, those fucking crazy bastards. So yeah, after Red Bull loss, one thing I was noticing, the Ferraris are slower than
Are we on the race or qualifying?
we're on the race.
Run a race.
So what about there was that great start with
Max Verstappen? Yes, I know.
Max
my God.
Verstappen had an amazing start, but so did Leclerc and Sainz. But Sainz got to that corner and had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
He couldn't risk hitting his own teammate. And then you had Max, who's Max, and he's gonna hit whatever gap he can find.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like
Maximum effort.
it was almost like Max was like, well,
Shut up.
this is a better spot because it was like almost a deciding corner. Because
Right.
if Steins would have got through there and kept Max at bay, that would have caused a big fight for probably a few laps between Sainz and Verstappen,
Mhm.
giving Leclerc so much more breathing room.
Yeah, if you're not wrong at all. If Verstappen had to spend more time defending, then he would have less time attacking, and he wouldn't have been able to. Well, it's hard to say he wouldn't be able to because even when
It's Max
you know,
Verstappen. He's gonna.
it's Max Verstappen, but
Yeah.
even later in the race, after he got around Leclerc and Leclerc had DRS, he just could not answer for that Red Bull sped.
Yeah. Yeah. I was waiting for
Yeah.
Leclerc to get that trade off the whole fucking DRS zone thing, but
Mhm.
he couldn't capitalize on it at all. Verstappen
No.
did immediately. Yeah, and it was just
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
So
the end of the race.
I have been saying this all season long, and you guys have been saying I'm wrong. But I'm gonna say it again. This race
You're
was
wrong.
kind of boring. There wasn't a lot going
You're
on.
wrong.
And
No, it was.
it reflects in my notes because I have the stuff that happened
Not
at
a
the
lot-
beginning of the
yeah, no.
race. And then lap 41 is when Lando got tagged out.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I was like,
My Pierre Gasly.
I've kind of started a ritual of standing up pretty much for the entire race and just watching
Mhm.
it. And yeah, I noticed this one there wasn't as much going on. Not at
No,
all.
it was a sit down race.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, I really like the track.
I do too. I like it a lot.
It's
Me
I
too.
don't know if there's maybe some adjustments they can do over the next few years since you said it has like a 10-year
Mhm.
contract.
It's got a 10-year contract.
I'm sure there's some things they can do to kind of tweak it to make it a little
Right.
more exciting or something. But well, and also like I said, it seemed like a track built for Red Bull with that straight line speed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
3
Ferrari
DRS zones too.
yeah. And Ferrari with they've got the corners and stuff, but you
Mhm.
just didn't have them. And so
Yeah,
don't
well, and
know.
I think that like when Red Bull had when Ferrari had DRS and Red Bull did not, Ferrari was only going 3, maybe 2 to 5 miles an hour faster than Red Bull,
Over
which
that
is a
usual
lot,
like
but
it's usually
it
like
ain't a
17
lot.
kilometers,
It's
which is
normally a lot more. Was not a lot of difference between Red Bull's non-DRS straight line speed and Ferrari's DRS straight line speed. It was
Yeah,
massive.
it wasn't enough to catch him because at one point
No.
Max was like 7.5 seconds ahead of Leclerc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then Leclerc did a late push.
Yeah.
Like the last 10 laps, he did a late push, and it almost looked like he could get around him, but
Yeah,
he just couldn't.
and
Yep.
Perez looked like he had a good shot right at the restart of getting around Sainz, but Sainz got away good.
Sainz a good
I'll give him
racer
that.
when he can stay in the race.
I feel like if Perez wouldn't have had whatever kind of technical issues he had, he might have been able to push past Signs at some point. Just that
Yeah.
was kind of race Signs was having.
Mm-hmm.
He was keeping pace, but just not enough. And I think Perez would have eventually caught him had he not had those issues.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because he had to fight whatever he was fighting, he had to fight that the rest of the race.
Yeah,
So-
lots of. I think they said
so
it
he
was
had to
like one of
adjust-
the E.
Whatever
What-
sense, some kind of sensor, but he had to
Yeah.
adjust his race because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, if he was full tilt boogie, like Jake likes to say,
Full
I
to
think-
boot.
I think
Yeah.
he probably would have taken Signs, which I don't like to say, but just Signs
Mhm.
was having that kind of weekend. I'm just so glad he finally finished the race.
Right. And on the podium too, which
Yes, back where
unless
he
anyone wants to
belongs.
bring anyone and any other things, which I really don't. I mean, the only other thing that was noteworthy at this point was there was a really unfortunate
Schumacher and
accident
Vettel.
between Schumacher and Vettel, where that was like, and Vettel's like a father figure to
Yeah.
Schumacher, which is kind of like good because when Vettel was really young and starting to get into the thing, Schumacher Senior, well, I shouldn't say senior, Michael Schumacher was really close to Vettel, so he's kind of like doing the same thing to
So, yeah, they're all German
kinfolk.
drivers, and they're just, they kind of
and then
mentored each other.
it's like your mentee takes you out.
Well,
I watched-
did you see the meme? It was like Vettel. He was like, "Who the fuck did that? They're fucking stupid," or whatever. And then they're like, "It was Mick Schumacher," and
Right.
he was like, "Oh well, he's a good. It was a good effort."
Did you see the T-shirt that Vettel was wearing all weekend?
Oh, about the 2026 Miami.
Miami
GP
underwater because of the rising sea levels.
They're gonna be racing on Sea-Doos.
I fucking
Yeah.
love Vettel, dude. I don't care what anybody says.
He's
man.
a class act. He's such a
dude's-
good guy.
Dude's
He had
dope.
a good. I was looking up before like we did the podcast of like if there was any reaction to that wreck, and Vettel was very like, well, it was disappointing because we were both in the points, and it was
Mhm.
just it was disappointing. And Mick was like, well, I don't really know who is blame. Like it's hard to judge from inside the car, but I have to watch the tape, and like that's gonna be like again, it's like a father figure. It's just like I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
and
It's so much worse.
Rewind to the first year that Leclerc was on Ferrari and he like passed Vettel in a weird spot and caused them to spin out, and Vettel called him a cunt over the radio.
Oh, when Vettel gets mad, it's fucking great.
It's so good.
He will wreck you.
Yeah.
So, real quick, it was really kind of cute. Dave decided he was going to take over and lead us into the next segment of the podcast, but he adorably forgot to hit record. It was so good. He did a good job.
Dave was also trying his hardest to keep it on tracks and not have me and Jake derail the conversation.
It's awful. I've had too much to drink. It was mostly fucking boring.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is our 10th episode, everybody. So
Woo!
welcome
Yeah,
to the podcast.
hooray!
I'm gonna get some confetti to drop down.
Yeah.
Did you guys right after the race and they got fucking Verstappen on that weird ass golf cart? He is sucking down the water.
Oh,
I think he had like a gallon of that fucking shit. It was so hot that day. It was like one of the hottest races. Some of the guys are saying it's even worse in Malaysia.
Well, the
I'm not surprised
humidity
about.
is probably what killed him. Because when you sweat, I mean,
Yeah,
you lose so
It's just
much
hot.
more in that. It's like walking through pudding. It's gross.
it's fucking awful.
Yeah.
So I describe
Gross.
humidity to people being someone that grew up without it and now someone has to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like wash a blanket, like a down comforter, wash it in the washing machine, then put it in the dryer for like halftime where it's wet but it's hot, and then put that over you and try and exist. And that's what it feels like in the hot humid summers.
What's funny is like obviously New Orleans and Florida, they get all the hot, humid gusto, but nobody realizes like Missouri, St. Louis, some of the worst humidity I've ever been around. So bad.
I took the
gross.
dogs out this morning at like 8:30 this morning. Immediate under tit sweat.
Yeah, it's
Ugh,
oppressive.
gross.
It is
It was
oppressive.
the worst.
And it's nice now here in Colorado. I got like
Mhm.
14% humidity, so it's
No,
Ah,
humidity.
so nice.
Go fuck
I don't know
yourself.
what the humidity
yourself.
was
Go fuck
today,
yourself.
but it was
Go
like
fuck
it was a
yourself.
very dry heat walking around today.
Shut up. Shut your goddamn mouth. Fuck you. Fucking hate
It's
you.
gonna be
Fuck you.
100% humid tomorrow because it's
Fuck
supposed
you.
to rain, but that's it.
Yeah,
You fuck-
rain I'll deal with, but walking in ball soup, no thank you.
So let's
Yeah.
get to the hokey fun things about the F1 GP that no one liked, but I thought were amazing. The police escort where they almost ran over Christian Horner and his wife. That was fucking amazing.
Which
That was funny seeing them like scooting off to the side in the tunnel, but at the same time, the whole police escort thing to me was like,
I think
I
that,
kind of
like-
looked at it as like a Miami Vice thing. Of
I
like,
looked at it as an homage to Cops, which is like one of the biggest shows on TV ever.
well, maybe
and
a
it
lot of my
always takes
decision-
place in
American.
Florida.
a lot of my decision comes from I had to turn my TV down because I thought everyone around me would think the cops were being fucking
Called them
hauled in.
on the park manager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I thought they were.
I
paying
don't know. I
homage
just
to,
thought it
like-
was weird. And then the football helmets.
Well, we'll get to that,
No,
but
the
I
football
Alright.
I thought
helmets,
they were
yeah.
fine. I thought they were fine. So I'll
mean,
tell you why.
Yeah,
But I really liked how they kept having to cut away from the police escort because the sirens are blaring and there was a traffic jam, so they weren't actually moving. And then they kept
Yeah.
cutting back when they were moving, and it was like every time they stopped, they cut away. But yeah, then they get to the top, and I mean they're at Dolphin Stadium. The first place trophy was given by Dan Marino, who is fucking royalty in Miami.
Yeah. I was gonna
And
say
Dave, they wear cowboy hats in Texas, and they wear those Russian winter caps in Sochi when they race there.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it was only the first races at this place because they
I-
haven't done the Stetsons at Coda since then. They haven't done they're not going to do the Russian hats again.
No.
But when they did do them, like,
I
I
get
don't know.
I get Dan Marino because obviously he's a Miami icon. I mean,
Mhm.
an American icon. The guy's a football legend. You know, that's America's sport, apparently. I wish it was baseball, but apparently it's football.
It's
But
football
I
now.
mean, when
Americana football.
Marino handing over the trophies and all that shit, that was totally cool with me. I'm all right
Right.
with that because, like I said,
Everything else
Marino's
sucked.
Americana for one. I mean, the
Mhm.
dude's royalty in Miami, and yeah, so that's fine.
Well, second and third place shows were given away by cryptocurrency people.
Yeah, that's whatever. I don't know.
Also kind of funny. And I've only been getting Max Verstappen cryptocurrency exchange commercials on my YouTube in the past 2 days.
Yeah. And
You can change currency as fast as you can change a lap.
I've been trying not to read the comments and like a lot of the stuff that's posted on Instagram, but there's so many people talking shit of like, oh, look at all these fucking influencers there. It was so overhyped and it's so dumb and blah 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 blah.
And
blah.
how
Like,
rich
that
are
gold
they?
F1. Yeah, and it's like, fuck you. Like, yeah, you're right. This is the only race influencers and celebrities go to. I've never seen any celebrities at Silverstone. I've never seen any celebrities.
Oh,
Right.
right.
Monaco
Yeah.
or
Yeah, that-
other
Mhm.
that-
races.
When
Never
I
seen any rich people at Monaco. Only the rabble show up to that race.
when I
Yeah,
sent that
only true
message
fans.
when I said that message about the Europeans and everybody coming out in force but
Mhm.
hating on Miami, it's like at the same time, it's like, what is Monaco? Monaco is just I mean, it's a race one on Saturday, so Sunday is nothing but the glamour and the glitz and
Yeah,
all that.
the only reason they
bullshit.
keep it
It's
on
a-
there
it's
is
a-
it's so
it's a
historic.
circus. Yeah. So I
Same
mean,
with like when they race like the Italian GP too. Like there's all kinds of like famous Italian people show up to that race.
yeah.
too.
So it's
like,
yeah. So it's just people hating on. I guess I hate being like that America, but at the same time, it's like everybody's just hating on just American fans, like actually
There's
getting
the
into this
guy
shit.
with the NASA shirt on.
yeah. No, it's true. They're just like they're shitting all over it because like, and everyone's on their phones and they're like, oh, this is like, you know, oh, it's all the Netflix fans. And it's like Netflix fans are not, they're still fans and they showed up.
See,
Which
Yeah,
that's-
exactly.
I hate seeing that shit. I see it all the time with like baseball and hockey when I watch that. It's like a fan's a fan. You want new fans. You want people liking your sport. You want your sport to
Right.
grow. You
It
know,
makes it
I
more
don't understand the
popular.
people that are like, oh, they're just new fans. Who fucking cares? It's
Yeah,
new,
fans are fans.
new people
Yeah.
to talk about the sport with. It grows your sport. I don't know what
We
you're-
hope that this podcast gets found by someone who doesn't know about Formula One and then watches Formula One at some point.
Yeah.
exactly.
And then when
And
they
we
have,
can't
like,
help it
the-
if America does everything better. It's not our fault.
Exactly. Or like when they have like the all
Like
those
getting to the moon
like,
or building cars to go fast in a straight line.
you know,
Or winning World War II and won.
when they have all the gimmicks, like the in-track
It all
gimmicks,
checks
which, like,
out.
people were like shitting on too. Like, if I go to the racetrack, like, and I'm watching a race, I want options. I don't want like some shitty fucking British food while I'm like watching an F1 race. Like hey, if
Breakfast
I want
beans.
Dude,
fucking, like,
you know what's
beer
funny?
carts everywhere and food trucks and all that. I thought that's like, and I don't know, just to get like back. The other thing that I was thinking about when they're like, oh, there's so much shit going on. They put the race on in a fucking parking lot, okay? Like,
Right.
and it did not look like it was in a fucking parking lot.
Actually,
they didn't.
I'm not telling. I mean, is all the theatrics and celebrities and all the other bullshit aside, and honestly, not a whole lot happening within the race. I thought it was a good track. I mean,
I enjoyed watching them race there.
after 17 or what? Yeah, is it 17 hitting that?
No,
wall
it's
and then
16.
16.
So 14, 15 are the chicane, which I
So,
talked about before
thought-
the podcast.
I thought between 16 and 17 might have been a bit too long at times to make
Yeah.
it competitive, but I mean, overall, I mean, I thought that that, like you said, that turn, that chicane is, if that stays on the calendar, that's going to be an iconic turn after a while.
I think eventually it will be. And I mentioned this before we started recording. I think it's going to be in that 16, 17 chicane, even though it's a little out of the way, it's going to be iconic because people can't help but be close to the driver in front on those turns because you want to be a good setup for turn 16 so you can get the slipstream and pass on the long straight. So that's going to turn 14 and 15 very competitive.
Yeah.
And I think that given the time that we have with this Miami track, it could be up there with some of the legendary turns out there, like En Rouge in Spa, or the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, or I don't know.
Give it a few years. I bet you that it either becomes infamous or just iconic.
Right.
Yeah. What I hope for is what happened with when they brought back the European GP in Azerbaijan. And
European in Azerbaijan.
In Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
Well, that's Europe, right?
Yeah, that's the European GP.
Yeah.
And it's in Europe. Like Eastern, Southeastern Europe.
I don't know, man. I don't pay attention after 1980, whatever.
After Czechoslovakia split up, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, I just, after that, fuck it off. You know, what's the point of even living it?
Monrovia, get out of here.
Yeah,
No, if you're from, we love your country. We're glad that you're not Czechoslovakia anymore. We realize it's a touchy subject for a lot of people. So, we're pro Monrovia and pro Slovakia. So
honestly, I can't even
Moldova.
agree to that
is it Moldova
because
or
I
Monrovia?
don't know the facts of the situation.
It's pronounced Moldova.
Moldova, sorry. Moldova, I think, is a country that happens in the Marvel universe, but I don't know. I've been drinking whiskey all day. Get your shit checked out.
Yeah, fuck off. So like the first year that they raced at the European GP, it was really boring. And I mean, boring. And then the second year they raced there, it was off the fucking chain. There was red flags left and right, and it was just dirty, hard racing the whole time.
I mean, this race was uneventful. I bet they make the necessary tweaks for next blah 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 blah. They're gonna make the necessary tweaks to make it an interesting race next year. Like I mean, there's obviously safety issues with that corner that everyone's so worried about. That right before the chicane.
14? No, 13.
Yeah, because going into it, you hit it at a weird speed, and I guess.
Did you notice? So when Carlos Sainz went out in free practice 2, there was not a good angle on that crash. It was his onboard angle, and it was the angle shooting up from way
on the other side.
And then when Ocon crashed, they had a camera right there. So I think there was some smart man in the booth that said, "We're gonna put a camera on that corner because this is gonna be dope.
Move a camera now.
Move the camera down."
Yeah,
but
I thought that was weird too, because all you got was that weird, and then you saw him spin.
Yeah,
and then you got the afterwards.
There's money to be made here.
Real quick, going back to the podium, did we cover the ribbons that?
Not yet. We were on our way there.
We'll hit them now because I think we're running way long.
We are running super long on this one, but I like the football helmets. I thought they were fun and quirky, and I thought they were kind of weird, and I liked it. And they gave them the Pirelli hats also. But before that, can we talk about the driver's room?
The cool down room?
Yeah.
When Carlos Sainz
75% of the viewing population was sweating when they switched over because Carlos Sainz was topless.
Oh yeah. And he was like,
that was fucking awesome.
And they keep the camera off me.
Yeah.
They had him put a shirt on, and then when he was talking to Verstappen about being 7.5 seconds ahead, he goes, holy fuck," or something like that.
Yeah, so like how far were you behind? And he's like 7 seconds. He's like, oh fuck. They're like,
oh yeah,
sorry about that.
Didn't I text you that immediately?
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Dave were texting just like, I think it was as I was writing, you had sent something in.
So they came out, and what was funny because they like go in that room and they're like, "Oh, we got to wear helmets all day," and I was like, "What are they talking about?" They come out with this silly Pirelli helmets, sausages.
A little bit.
Can you hear me now, Dave?
All right, I got you
Dave,
back.
can you hear me?
I got you back. I got you
All right,
back.
all right. Can we?
I'm unstable,
I-
so let's.
Unstable.
I
That's
got
fine.
you back though. Let's go.
Real quick, Dave's audio slowed down a minute ago, and it sounded like he was really drunk. He's just like, I really like turn 17 and 8.
For me, Dave's videos in and out.
And go.
So the helmets were a little hokey, a little weird,
Little
but
hokey.
man,
I
if
get
I'm
Dan
a-
Marino. I don't get the helmets.
But if I'm a Formula One driver,
Give him
Right.
the hats. Just give him a hat.
no,
Probably hats.
no. If I'm a Formula One driver, I would like to collect as much Pirelli memorabilia as I can.
Oh, I guess.
I'll
yeah,
take the
that's-
football helmet. I'll take the cowboy hat. I'll take the Russian hat. If they're going to do one of those rice hats they wear in the patties when I'm in East Asia, I'll wear one of those bastards.
Well, if you're a guy like Max Verstappen or
Fucking
Leclerc,
hilarious.
who's just mounting shit on their walls, just ever growing, like they can't just
I would.
mount all that stuff. They don't have enough room in their houses.
I'm not Max Verstappen, but if I was going drinking with you guys and I had a Pirelli football helmet, I would wear it to the bar.
I
Well,
wear
yeah,
the
we're
Pirelli Stetson,
poor
too.
people.
I would snake
like to
the
look
long neck
goofy.
into it would be just, but I'm not going to be different if I'm a Formula One driver.
By
But
the way, you know
That's
who would
true.
have appreciated that helmet if he had won?
Ricardo,
Ricardo.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's true.
Big
who does a
Buffalo
really
Bills
good
fan.
Ace Ventura, and he had Ace Ventura helmet. Also,
Yeah.
who had a fun helmet, Lando Norris, and it was sad, funny to see him like
Dribbling down.
like walking
Yeah, walking around wearing a giant basketball
with
on
his
his head.
fucking head down, like he's an 8-year-old at a party and his uncle molested him. He's just doing the walk of shame.
Yeah, that was a rough helmet to DNF in. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, just something so happy and positive.
It's fucking awful. But yeah, speaking of awful, so they hand them out, they do the national anthems for whatever the fuck, and then they do the champagne, and then they release the spider webs upon everyone. Which just
everyone's trapped in them.
They just had like an adhesion to them.
I mean, even just somebody with just like the clinical knowledge of like
When stuff's
confetti
wet.
or
Yeah.
engineering or just
Yeah.
sweeping up shit would know that was a bad idea.
When
Those are
tissue
fucking-
paper gets wet, it sticks to everything.
That
It is
was-
impossible to get off.
It was just
Yeah, and it's in the
everywhere.
sticky South Florida heat after these three guys get out of a fucking
And they're
race
covered
car.
with champagne too.
I remember just watching it. We're like, I doubt this will be in the Miami GP next
I
year.
even put it in my notes. Ribbons, a bad idea with the champagne. Like you couldn't see
Yeah.
anything for a while.
Yeah,
It's
so
just-
You
like when
just
the
see
drivers are like
struggling to
this
pull it off.
after
that on
they
the
do the
long-
celebration.
we'll put that on the long checklist of shit we found out they
Yeah,
got to fix. for the
Probably
next one.
should change.
Yeah.
Let's cut up. Maybe they ran out of time and they couldn't cut it up into squares. They had to just shoot the ribbons out of the machine guns. they
Well, I
had.
mean, they've seen other GPs with just the squares stick to everything. What do you think a big snake of a square is gonna, you know?
I don't know.
It's the opposite. Like, I got an idea. This isn't gonna stick to anyone. We got it, America.
Well, and so
America!
to everyone that was like, "Oh, this was too American," I didn't like it. When the confetti was launched, it was not launched by blonde babes with huge tits in small bikinis with the American flag on them, shooting them out of mortars or howitzers or tanks. It was just shot by, I don't know, Joe Trippiani's uncle, who has been working.
It
Derek
was shot
Cannon's-
by that concrete crew.
Yeah,
man.
the
They
shot
got
by the
fucking
co-
burn out of night.
You put a lot of pressure on the concrete guy. You pipe it up to the roof. You aim that bitch off the roof. Boom. You got rain and
They
confetti.
saw what kind of work we could do Friday night. They called us back.
It was
We
the
want the
night crew.
rabbits.
The night crew came in, took care of the job.
They
They
cleaned
said,
up. The
Can you
night
come
crew
back on
came in.
Sunday?
they
And we
cleaned
said,
up.
ain't no problem. Forget about it. We'll be there Sunday.
Rabbins. We shot rabbins over the end, over the threshold, and we shot the rabbins down, and it covered the guys, covered them
They
up.
said it covered the guys, and they said shoot it over the edge. I shot it over the edge. It stuck to them. What do you want from me? All right,
Yeah.
I did my job. It happened that way.
Right over the threshold.
Over
Over
the
the
threshold, through
on
the
the
thing.
ice.
Two of the
over the
guys.
thing. It's done.
His San
Job done.
Marino, my respects to him. Didn't
You want
mean
respect
that,
to him? Mhm,
but it
mhm,
hit the
mhm.
guys, and it was what it was.
Yeah,
Again, what do you want
the
from me?
champagne
I did my
stuck
job.
to him, made an adhesion happen.
I say, hey, when you're done with that champagne bottle, you bring it up here.
No.
Take a sip.
When you get the champagne on the old tissue paper there, it instantly becomes
Oh,
extremely
game over.
adhesive and extremely fragile.
Fragile, adhesive, and it gets
You
stuck
can't get it
everywhere.
off.
It's just
You can't get it off. It's like saying you chew 3 days later, and
it's
taking your
really
boots
like
off
being
in the
stuck
All right,
garage.
fucking knock it
web.
off.
In the web of a spider, when you
Yeah.
walk through the
It's like a
bushes or
spider
something,
web,
and it gets
yeah.
stuck in your face,
Mhm.
and you're like freaking out. It's the
Freaking-
same as
it ain't no
Hey,
spider.
I'll tell
It's
you
the
right
ribbons.
now. You guys are the
It's the
fucking
ribbons.
worst.
Hey,
This is the new
Well,
guy on the
why not?
union crew. This is saying that. He's
yeah,
got the
you
low
wanna
man
say that
job.
with the union crew.
Yeah.
everyone-
He's the
on
one that's
other
trying
hand,
to
they
pick
got
up
their
the-
backs.
He's push brooming the ribbons.
You fucking jabronis. I'm trying
Push
to
broom
run a
him.
podcast here.
Yeah, get back to
Jesus
push broom in
Christ.
the ribbons. Push
Yeah,
broom that
just
damn
brush the
statue.
ribbons out.
Yeah, push broom the
Yeah.
ribbons. All right, well,
On to
this-
the end of the race.
this has been we did the end of the race. This is
Oh,
the
we
end of
did?
the
The end of
podcast.
the race.
This is the end of the
There
podcast.
wasn't a free Brody celebration.
Yeah, there wasn't there was nothing happened on the race really. Everything was free practice and qualifying, which we didn't even we touched on because that's all that it needed.
All right, what do we
Jake
got?
covered those at length.
I
We
took
got,
notes. I was
uh,
proud of my notes. Go fuck yourself.
Do we got driver standings going into Barcelona or
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Max Verstappen's 19 points adrift.
yes,
Mhm.
he is catching up. Red
All
Bull's
Leclerc has to do is DNF one time, and then Max Verstappen's in the lead.
Red Bull's durability issues have not been a factor when I want them to be a factor.
Well,
They
in
have
our
only
favor is we're
been
coming up-
in practices and I'm
We're also coming up on Monaco, which has not been a friendly place for Charles Leclerc over the last couple of
right,
years.
right.
well, I mean, he gets pole, but then fucks it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the racers live there, but he was fucking born there.
Which was fun to watch.
Would he get pole and then have to switch gearbox and then go start from the fucking pits or something?
No, he there was a race where he got pole, and I think it was the formation lap or something silly like that. He wrecked the car and he couldn't race at all.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't the
because he
formation lap. It
wrecked
was
during
qualifying.
qualifying. And then
Oh,
his
that's what
car-
it was. So Ferrari's only 6 points ahead of Red Bull in the constructors.
They are, and that is worrying, especially with Mercedes getting their
Who's that
shit
worrying
together.
for?
Well, it's oh, shut up, Red Bull.
But we are, it's weird to say this, and I don't mean to be the one that has to say this, but we're out of time, guys. So
Oh,
we have to wrap this up. This has been the Tire Preference Podcast,
it's
doing a
been-
lackluster attempt to cover an exciting and somewhat whatever Grand Prix. I mean, I liked it. I can't wait
mean-
to watch more, but it's the first one. It's the first one.
It's the first one, and overall, I don't give it a whatever. I give it a more of a.
Forget about it.
It was not even a forget about it. It was a good fabucci. It was a good
It was a
I don't know, I don't
gabagool.
know Italian.
Yeah.
The gabagool.
It was it was a race. It was a benchmark or not a benchmark, but it was, I don't know.
It
was
was
boring.
fact-finding
It was still a
mission.
race.
It was a track that had a lot of good points on it, but it just
It was the side mission.
yeah. We'll see.
But it
We'll see.
counted
see.
towards the end, It
We'll
wasn't
see.
the
It could
best
count, it could
mission
count.
in a game, but it was, got you through it.
Well, at any rate,
Yeah.
this has been the Tire Preference Podcast on our 10th episode.
10th
So-
episode.
10
Oh,
episodes.
10 episodes.
on a
in.
10th episode note, let's go ahead and plug in our plugs.
Yeah, well, I was getting right to that. So we'll do plugs. You can find me. I'm Jake at the Red Kennedy, the red underscore Kennedy 45 on Instagram, the Red Kennedy on Twitter, which I don't ever post on. You can find the podcast on YouTube right now at the Preference Podcast, and you can find it on Twitter at the Preference Pod. You can find Dave at Dave
Maximum_Dave on Instagram.com for I rarely post anything.
Yeah.
And then you can also follow me and my amazingly beautiful and attractive wife on
My amazingly
featuring
beautiful and attractive wife and I
on Featuring Friday on Instagram as well.
and Schnickel Fritz, which you can find the spelling for on our last podcast on YouTube.
Yeah. Good
And
gaming
you can
vids.
find me. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, go. I'm sorry.
That was it. Just
I
gaming
I
vids.
interrupted it. I fucked it. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, fuck. You can find me at t.k.66 on Instagram for lackluster Instagram content. I never post. Occasionally, I post a story.
It's not lackluster. It's incredible.
It's just incredible, but it's
quit
also been a year and a half
downselling
since I
yourself,
posted.
man.
I will say
You're
my
worth something.
hashtag game's on point. So go to my Instagram and read my hashtags. They're fucking good.
And with that, I'm going to say keep your foot on the gas. Just hammer through it.
Yeah, keep from the grass. While you're doing that, make sure you keep within track limits. Don't go outside the lines. Doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, and make sure you hit those braking points. Make sure you're not going too fast. Always remember to slow down a little bit. And I love you.
And remember to see your camp host upon arrival.
Yeah. And you know what? Go to the dentist. Go to the
Yeah.
floss your teeth. Brush
Yeah,
twice
go
a
to
day.
the
Floss your
dentist.
fucking teeth.
Yeah. It'll
Tip your meter readers too when they're out reading your electric meters.
Yeah, just so make sure you go out there and just give their toes a good lick. Just slather up,
Yeah,
just lick their toes.
they really appreciate that. They won't get
If
mad.
you
at
go
it.
out there and say there's a goose in the pantry, they'll know what's happening. They'll take their boots
Well,
off and
what's going
you lick their sweaty toes through their socks. Don't take the socks off. That's disgusting. Lick them through the socks.
Yeah, get all the
Yeah.
get all the boot soup that you can.
Boot soup,
Mhm.
that leathery. They always smell like old peanuts and cigarettes for some reason. I don't know.
Hate to tell you, but I've already decided where I'm cutting it off.
I can't wait to see.